what about my opponent? What about Michael Grimm? Who knows him? Who really knows him? We simply know the story that he has been telling us, but we've never seen the proof. No one has ever asked Michael Grimm, make that no one has ever demanded of Michael Grimm, that he furnish the proof. He refuses to participate in a public debate. That's a debate where taxpayers, residents, people who have a stake in this community ask the questions. He refuses to speak directly to voters when questioned about his record, as always relying on his political boss, that powerful lobbyist, to comment on his behalf. And he refuses to set the record straight about his experience. Why? Because he has no credible response. Now I can tell you that not many voters on Staten Island know Michael Grimm, nor do those in Brooklyn. They simply know his story. In fact, I was at a Tea Party forum last night, very proud to have support of many Tea Party members. Michael Grimm, who claims the mantle of being the people's candidate, well, he chose not to participate in yet another forum. He was once again noticeably absent. Why? His actions, his conduct during this race have brought me here reluctantly. My office has received calls, repeated calls, for months with questions about Michael Grimm's story. And please from people that I speak to those questions. Until now, I've refused. But in light of the attacks on me and the perpetual whisper campaign about my family, about myself, and about my family's own business, and I'm sure those whispers will grow into screams in the coming 14 days, I am coming forward. The entire basis of Michael Grimm's campaign is, as I said, his story. His story of moving from the Marines to the FBI to small business. He speaks in what I would describe and many have called rhetorical terms. Many find them quite uncomfortable, about his irreproachable integrity and about his relentless work ethic. But we are yet to hear from a single person who has actually worked with Michael Grimm say these things about Michael Grimm. Michael Grimm wants to be a public servant, yet he refuses to answer to that very public which he claims to want to serve. So today, I have 4 questions to ask Michael Grimm in an effort to find out the question on all of our minds: who is the real Michael Grimm? Question number 1 is simply, why does Michael Grimm claim to be a successful small businessman when all of his businesses have been failures? His attempts at running a business, 2 of them outside of our community in Texas, 1 of them here on the Upper East Side, well, they haven't worked out too well. After leaving the FBI, he opened up a business here in Manhattan. It lasted, by his own words, a short while, or I believe he said it was short-lived, after multiple code violations. This is just the first example in what is a troubling pattern of misrepresentation by Michael Grimm. Take San Antonio Refuel, Beyond Petroleum, Austin Refuel. He doesn't really speak about what the name of the company is half the time, but the property owner said that these companies, which were registered at his property, and the gentleman's name is John Chuchia, stated that he was unfamiliar with these companies, but recalls that San Antonio Refuel left his building nearly a year after it broke its lease, or nearly a year ago when it broke its lease and went bankrupt. He spoke with Michael Grimm once, who called to say he was filing for bankruptcy and vacating the property. Mr. Chuchia said, of the business owners, I would most definitely not do business with them. Or take KLG Developments. Simply, the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts lists this company as not in good standing. suppose our definitions of success are a bit different. Question number 2 for Michael Grimm. Michael Grimm, why won't you prove why you left the FBI just a few years before your retirement kicked in? Now, he claims that he was tired of the long hours, but as almost anyone in law enforcement, including the FBI, will agree, something just isn't right about that explanation. He should shoot straight. He should put an end to the rumors, just as I have. He can simply do this by releasing any and all paperwork associated with his departure, specifically his official professional record, known as his OPR. Question 3 for Michael Grimm is somewhat ironic. As Michael Grimm fights to earn the Republican nomination against me, the endorsed candidate of the party, he has never voted in a single Republican primary election here. To voters in this district, who I am sure are receiving countless phone calls and mailings from the Grimm campaign on a regular basis saying, please, vote for Michael Grimm on September 14th. Well, I have a message to you. Ask Michael Grimm who the last Republican was for whom he voted in a Republican primary. You'll be shocked by the silence. And finally, why does Michael Grimm continue to avoid giving a credible explanation to perhaps the most serious question? Why he knowingly used photos of himself repeatedly in campaign materials, print and otherwise, wearing military awards that he knew he did not earn, and he knew he should not be wearing. And let me be very clear to the voters and everyone else assembled here. I thank Michael Grimm for his military service, as I thank all of the gentlemen standing with me right now. But despite what he will say in the coming hours to confuse this issue, this has nothing to do with Michael Grimm's service. It has to do with his integrity, his trust, and his dignity. Michael Grimm owes it to the voters of this district. He owes it to the veterans throughout this city and this state. And he most certainly owes it to our military men and women who are currently serving overseas and working here at home to come clean about this demeaning, unethical practice. This is a critical piece of what many of us see as the Grimm puzzle, on which he has been shockingly